Dormirse en la cama, darse prisa en tu alma, ratoncito en el club, no le oiga, glu glu glu. Con Bel O'Malley, ratoncito le gusta danza cuando estudio en la escuela.
Full-size sedans come with tons of amenities. Most notable is the legroom numbers and, well, some innovations. And when you add luxury to the equation, well, there are tons of bells and whistles thrown in. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Robertson. Now behind me takes it to the next level, the 2018 BMW 640i Gran Turismo. So what's different about the Gran Turismo? What really sets it apart? Well, it has to be the silhouette. If you're used to a typical 5 Series, even 7 Series, that's not what you get here. This is kind of a throwback Thursday hatchback that, well, just separates it from the rest of the siblings. And could you say awkward? Maybe just a little bit. But what I like is basically it differentiates, makes this huge sedan, well, a little bit more cargo-esque, and I'll get into those numbers in just a second. But look at the rest of the lines. What you're going to find is it does have a nice overall width, nice masculine back end here, sweeping down the front, very clean lines. Everything, of course, adorned in body color and tons of innovation. When looking at the profile, this is truly where you see the dramaticness of this vehicle, really when it comes to that sweeping roof line. Now, what you also see is that this is not a typical sedan by any means. You can tell that by the overall height. It's just a lot taller than your standard BMW. What I also like is the design elements, and you'll see that right across the middle. Typical front door on any sedan, but as you sweep back, they really have an implied elongated window here. Now, of course, there's a pillar here to break it up, but that really gives a sweeping view all the way down to the back, really elongates the overall look overall, and of course, nice wide haunches. Now, the biggest thing on this vehicle is the numbers, really creeping up into a full-size sedan. Now, overall, it's about 200 inches. Wheelbase fairly stretched at about 120. Now, some other numbers to think about is the overall height. Now, this vehicle is going to be right around 5 feet. That, compared to other sedans, it's easily going to be a little bit lower than that. Now, the width is quite wide at about 74 inches, and that's going to be about 11 inches wider with the mirrors in place. Looking at the 4 corners, let's talk about the tires. Now, what you're going to see here is 19-inch wheels, which is standard. The actual wrap on them is 245 45s in the front, 275 40s in the rear. Now, what I like on this vehicle, of course, is it is all-wheel drive. Pretty much when you stomp the gas, it throws grip to the 4 corners. Now, what I also like is ground clearance. Now, standard is going to be around about 5.5 inches, but you can increase, of course, a little bit of ground clearance when you need it by the simple press of a button. What that does is provide the air suspension a little bit of lift on this vehicle. Now, on average, that's about 3/4 of an inch. Not a lot, but it does help when you're in maybe slippery situations. A little bit of extra snow gives you just a little bit of lift on the vehicle. Now, one thing to note, as you get up to faster speeds, this vehicle automatically sets it back down into the normal position. This vehicle has smarts all the way around, starting with the engine on the inside, all of it really being intuitive, but it all starts right here at the door, the good old smart key system and the ease of ingress. And the way I like it here on the BMW is it's very intuitive. Pretty much the vehicle knows you're there, and it doesn't require any fumbling of buttons or finding the right place to get in. It simply requires you just grabbing the handle. Now, for the driver, if you're by yourself, you go to the driver's door, you reach at the handle, it's only going to unlock that one door. That's kind of an added level of security because you really want only that one access. You simply unlock the buttons for the rest of everyone else. If you go to any other door, it really unlocks for everyone and makes it so much easier for everyone to climb inside with ease. Now, what I also like is the technology that you don't have to slam the door. It's simply cinch technology, meaning just slowly close it. It does the rest of the work. Now, if you want to lock it up, simply press right here and the vehicle's secure. What I also like is security here at the fill-up area. First thing you'll notice is this huge hatch that really gives you access, and maybe, well, could be just too big. It's kind of an eyesore here on the overall design. But what I also like is the fact that it's always locked. Just one more level of security. Of course, if you want to fill up, just make sure the vehicle's unlocked and it pops open with ease. Now, one thing they should definitely step up to is a capless system, not the old school throwback Thursday. Some other levels of innovation really sweep around to the back of the vehicle. First starts with the kind of 360 security when it comes to view, of course, backing up tight spots and sensors. This vehicle pretty much knows everywhere you are and knows where, well, the things you're about to hit, and it really alerts you kind of in a radar sensing area. And you can see that in the typical forms of parking sensors, and of course backup cameras, side cameras, and even a front camera. What I love about the front camera is it really gives you that bird's eye view when it senses that curve and lets you kind of nose in exactly where you need to be. Now look at the rear design. Of course, that sweeping rear roof line, the whole culmination of that rear hatch really differentiates this from a typical sedan. Looking at the tail light assembly, really sweeping around, adding a little bit of enhancement, of course, for safety, giving you a lot of illumination at night. Now, as you look around, there's pretty much body color all the way around. There's a really minimizing of chrome, specifically on this vehicle. Very minimal at best, and I like the fact that it doesn't make the vehicle look like a, well, Mr. T starter kit. Now, what you can also do is, well, jazz it up just a little bit, and that all starts with, well, right here at the spoiler. With the simple press of a button, well, you really wow the people behind you. I love doing this just to kind of add a little bit of flair to the overall silhouette. Now, as for the big bang for your buck on the vehicle, it comes in cargo space, and what you'll notice first off is in operation. This vehicle, of course, has the power rear hatch, and that's helpful because this probably does have a modest amount of weight. But once this is open, this is where a vehicle like this truly shines. Overall, about 31 cubic feet of cargo space. That compared to maybe a luxury sedan that's going to be basically about half of that. Now, if you want to totally increase the cargo, it's going to creep up to around about 65 cubic feet overall. Another great feature about this cargo area is what really lies beneath the floor. Now, I mentioned about this tonneau cover about being so rigid and what do you do with it if you have taller items. Well, BMW has thought of that. Simply lift this floor here, which is hydraulically lifted. It can stay into place. Simply take this cover, easily place it down here in this void. And what that allows you to do is really keep everything in the vehicle stowed away there when you need it and nice and tucked away. What's also interesting is these nice voids allow you some other places to put items and stow them away. But if you want to make it nice and clean, simply cover it up. Now, the engine for the 640i is specifically a 3.0 liter 6-cylinder inline twin turbo engine. Now, that's going to deliver on about 335 horses and 332 foot-pounds of torque, and delivers a not too shabby 5.1 seconds from 0 to 60. The 6-cylinder engine is coupled with a 8-speed Steptronic Sport automatic transmission with paddle shifters on the steering wheel. It also has optimized aerodynamics, and its weight-saving construction makes the all-new 6 Series a sporting performer with the highest level of efficiency. Anytime you look at a BMW, you want to look at the grille warfare and the typical kidney-shaped grills that set off the front end, but I have to admit, this plays second fiddle to the good old headlight assembly. Really set off with this rope lighting that really accentuates the overall look, and the fact that these are dynamic headlights, allowing the vehicle to sweep through the curves and these sweeping along with it, truly illuminating long before you get there. Now, looking back at the twin grills, what you're going to notice is these are dynamic as well, basically opening and closing as the engine needs more air. When it doesn't, it's going to close them off, allowing for better aerodynamics in the air to really sweep across this vehicle. Even better is these lower areas are functional, allowing air to flow through. Even right here, this tucking around, going into the wheel well, and even an exit point there at the back end, allowing for the air to really find points to get around this vehicle and improve overall airflow. One of the best places you want to be on any BMW has to be right here behind the wheel. One, in overall comfort, and two, well, it is the one that controls everything. Now, first off is legroom numbers. On a vehicle this big, that's truly what I want to look at. Now, up front, around about 41 inches, about an inch difference when you get in the back, and that's to be expected on a vehicle this big. The next thing you want to look at is all the innovations. Sweeping down the dash, looking for the main focal point where you're going to end up every time has to be the oversized screen front and center. Now, it is basically an arm stretch away, a little bit of a reach, and it is a touchscreen system, but as glossy and smooth as it looks, you probably want to minimize fingerprints and simply use the knob between the front occupants. Now, that's a typical knob you find on BMWs and other luxury vehicles. Allows you to really toggle through with ease different operations. And what I truly like is the menu function. Now, that gives you these short tabs to really find what you're looking for, dive in, find the different settings. Now, this can be cumbersome when looking for specific settings, but what I found is every time I get lost, just simply end up here. A couple of niceties with the screen up above are the preset buttons down below. You'll find the numbers with ease, and there's kind of a differentiation between each number so you can easily navigate without even looking down. for volume, a nice little knob, little shortcuts here as well. Now to couple nicely with this knob, I would have preferred a tune select to be a knob as well, but instead little buttons here. Now down below for climate, what you're going to find is dual zones up front, but there is a separate zone in the back, giving this whole vehicle a tri-zone like system. Now real easy to use. You can pretty much dial in your specific temperature on each side. You can sync it with ease. Even better, each side up front does have its own fan speed, temperature select, and vent select, pretty much meaning each occupant can really dial in their specific settings. To make everything look nice and clean, your cup holders are hidden underneath this nice hideaway area. Basically push it back, and it's going to reveal two nice cup holders. Even better, this area is for charging, and it's more of the contactless version, basically meaning if you have a specially equipped case, you can slide your phone in here, squeeze it in, and basically set it in place, and it's going to easily start charging without any cords. Now I didn't have that, and my phone was a little bit bigger with the case, so it wouldn't fit in there. Instead I had to use the standard USB connections. For that central knob, this may take a little bit getting used to if you haven't used one before. It allows you pretty much to either cycle through, toggle, relates to the screen with ease. Now you do have shortcuts if you get lost. The back button probably is one of the best features, because when I get lost I simply press that, gets me back to where I started. The shortcuts are also helpful, the menu really being the best feature of everything on here, and of course some other shortcuts as well. Now the gauge cluster is by no means standard operating procedure, but the new school of thinking, pretty much meaning a digital readout for all your information, whether it be the tach, the speedometer, or various settings. Now what I like right now, we're in the Eco Pro, which is going to give you a lot of information about charging, efficiency, and all that. Now of course I pretty much avoided that. It was a little bit out of my league. This is the standard mode, which is going to give you a traditional speedometer on the left, tachometer on the right. And what you'll notice with the tach is it will kind of illuminate the number as you increase into that area. It just kind of gives you a little bit of sport mode even though you're not in it. The one I truly like is the sport mode. The reason for that is this vehicle does have heads-up display. The problem with that is when the heads-up is on the windshield and you're wearing polarized sunglasses like I am, you can't read it. So what I prefer is this readout, because you do have the digital readout for the speed, and of course you have a little bit of tachometer there as well, and of course your gear select. But this one's a little bit more intuitive to what I like. One other innovation back here to talk about really is the overall comfort, and it starts with that button. What that button controls is the seat backs. That's right, these seat backs can be reclined, and of course you can't do it in a manual setting. You gotta actually do it with the power, and it starts with that button. You can simply lay these seat backs like I am here, and it's not going to give you the full layback ability, but it does give you a little bit more comfort. Now of course you can make it a little bit more vertical, a little bit more straightforward, but the fact that it's really more automated makes the operation a little bit more sleek, and of course BMW-esque. Last thing is the fact that these rear seats are heated for the next level of comfort. Now that does it for this edition of Road Warrior and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2018 BMW 640i Gran Turismo. Now, what we like about this vehicle is it truly makes for a big sedan, but well, added a heck of a lot more cargo to boot in the back. And with this M Series, adds a little bit more flair, of course, with that spoiler and this huge dynamic front. And don't forget those hidden twin turbos lying beneath this hood. Now, as always, we'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.